Now we will learn how to factor a polynomial that is a trinomial in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And if you think about it, all the other polynomials we've factored so far have also been in this form, except a has always been 1. The advantage is we're going to handle this the exact same way that we handled all of those. We're going to make a product and sum chart. My product is always going to be this coefficient, which is now 2, times my constant, which is 28. So 2 times 28 equals 56. And the sum is always still going to be the coefficient, including the sign, of this middle term. So I'm really looking for two numbers that multiply to 56 and add to negative 18. When I think of 56, I might just think immediately of 56 times 1, but that's going to add up to 57, which is way far away from negative 18. 1 and 56 would give me the same thing. If I made each of these negative, negative 56 times negative 1, negative times negative is positive. These would add up to negative 57, which is still not close enough to negative 18. So I need to look at different factors. I might look at 8 times 7. Those are single-digit math facts. 8 times 7 is 56, but they add up to positive 15, which is not negative 18. And if I took the opposite of each of those, negative 8 times negative 7, they would multiply to positive 56, but they would add to negative 15, which is also not negative 18. And at this point, you may not recall any factors that go into 56, but we just got 56 by taking 2 times 28, so you can try those two. 2 times 28, they multiply to positive 56, but they add to 30, which is not negative 18. Therefore, if I took the opposite of them, negative 2 times negative 28, they would also add or multiply to positive 56, and they would add to negative 30, which is also not negative 18. At this point, you may think that this is a prime trinomial. However, we need to break up these factors even further. And a good way to do that is to look at the other numbers that you have in here and see if you can find factors of them. 8 is divisible by both 2 and 4, so I know that 4 is a factor of 56. So if I take 56 and divide by 4, I will be able to find another factor pair that works. 4 times 1 is 4. I subtract. I'll bring down. 4 goes into 16 4 times. So 4 times 14 is 56. So I can look at 4 times 14, which we just showed multiplies to 56. But they add to positive 18, which is not negative 18. But now I've narrowed it down. It's going to be negative 4 times negative 14. Negative times negative is positive. 4 times 14 is 56. When I add these two together, I get negative 18. So these two are my factor pair. It often may not take you this long because you can see here by the pattern, if 56 and 1 are 57 apart, negative 56 times negative 1 are also going to be 57 apart. And that distance was too far away to be negative 18. So if one of these pairs doesn't work out, the other one, you can look at its opposite and tell that's not going to work out either. So it'll help you to start breaking these numbers down, and the more practice you do with this, the better you're going to get. Well, now what we need to do is we need to rewrite this polynomial, and instead of writing negative 18x, we're going to rewrite this as negative 4x minus 14x. We're just restating this sum by breaking it up into the two factors that multiply and add the way that we need. So the 2x squared comes straight down, the positive 28 comes straight down, and this pair in here is what we rewrite the middle term as. Now what we will do, I'm just going to bring this down here, is now we're going to factor it by grouping like we did at the beginning of this chapter. We're going to divide a line down the middle, and we're going to find the greatest common factor of each side. The greatest common factor between 2x squared and negative 4x is 2x. 2x goes into 2x squared x times. 2x goes into negative 4x negative 2 times. Keep in mind that when we're factoring by grouping, this factor in parentheses needs to repeat itself on the other side. We're always going to bring this sign straight down, and now we will find the greatest common factor between negative 14x and positive 28, knowing that we have to factor a negative out. Well, 14 is a factor of 28, so negative 14 will be the greatest common factor of these two terms. There's an x in this term, but no x in this term, so there cannot be an x in the greatest common factor. Keeping in mind again that this factor of x minus 2 better repeat itself over here. So let's double check. Negative 14x divided by negative 14 is just x. Well, that works out. Positive 28 divided by negative 14 is negative 2, and that checks out. So if you wanted to check by distributing, you could also look at it that way. Negative 14 times x is negative 14x. Negative 14 times negative 2 is positive 28. Since we have 2x times a factor minus 14 times the same factor, we can bring down the 2x minus 14 and have it as one larger factor times the repeated factor of x minus 2. Let's write that a little neater. That would be x minus 2. And if we were to FOIL this, we would find that it is the same exact polynomial as the one that we started with.